don't get it right, get it started. Business owners that get things started, yeah, they might not finish it. They might only get 80%, but they're a hell of a long way further than if they were waiting for the 100% certainty before they started.
Yeah, we talk about doing star jumps and part of the journey as well. It's one of those funny mental models we've stumbled across over the years, is where people mistake movement for progress. So like if life's a journey moving forward, it's like you're going around a running track and there are hurdles, because there are always hurdles, right? Hi everyone, welcome to the Optimized Practice podcast. I'm your host, Blake Sargent, and today I'm joined by Brian Fitzpatrick. Brian's a high performance coach to business owners, to athletes. Who was also the high performance coach for the Australian hockey team for 7 years, 4 of which they were ranked world number 1. So this guy knows a little bit or two about performance. He's worked a lot with high-end practice owners across the world as well. And today we're going to talk around the owner's mindset. So welcome, Brian.
Thanks, Blake. I'm really looking forward to today. It's a wonderful thing to be able to work with people like yourself and just share our knowledge that we've learned over the last however many years that we've been working together, and a lot of time before that as well. So I really value you as my teammate, and let's get on with it. So I think today, Blake, one of the things that we want to just kick off with is this idea that of being a business owner, and that is to maybe start to look at some of the things that you didn't get taught at uni. So it's very much like you learn your physiotherapy or your podiatry technical skills, but how do you actually build a business based on that? So that's what today's all about. And what does the business owner, what activity needs to go on between the business owner's ears so that they can actually get to build a business? Because what I think happens a lot, Blake, is that when we look at practice owners, we see them that they have a job, and that is that it's not a business. If they're not in it, it's not worth anything. And so all they're doing is just working, having patients come through the door and doing the best they possibly can, but it's not saleable, and it couldn't really be called a business.
So what would you say are some of the major keys or attributes for somebody to have an owner's mindset?
Well, I think the first thing you've got to look at and go is, I want to build a business, and do I want to do the things that are difficult? A small business owner has a ride pretty much like the ups and downs of a roller coaster, in that there are moments of great elation and there are moments of great despair. And so getting clear about what you want to build, and then coming from this place of, I think, much more about dealing with what is so rather than what if. And I think a lot of business owners sit there and they think, oh, what if it was different? What if I could get really good team? What if I could do this? What if I could do that? But the best ones, the best business owners are the ones that go, what's the current reality? Now, what do I want to do, given that I want to build a business? So really importantly, I think the first thing that the business owner has to do is to go, well, what do I want to build? So what is my vision? And then as a leader of an organization like that, often people say, well, okay, I want to have a business. Now, who's coming with me? Yeah. So really importantly, this is where I'm going. Now, who's coming with me? Rather than who's with me? Now, what do you think we should do? Yeah. So it's the business owner actually stepping up in front and going, this is where I'm going. Would you like to be on this journey? Yeah. That's the first thing. And then from there on in, I think, Blake, it's much more about will and skill. It's much more about grit, determination, dealing with the reality each day, but staying true to your vision, and true to that concept of, this is my true north, this is where I'm going, and I will do what needs to be done. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be ruthless or anything like that. We can be very, very kind and gentle and calm and still create great businesses. The best business owners that we've ever worked with have a growth mindset, which basically says this: whatever's going on, I can find a way to fix. They also have this thing called radical ownership, which is basically this again: whatever's going on is my fault. If my business is going well, it's my fault. If my business is going poorly, it's my fault. And once we do that, once we start to take that place of being at cause in our life, and rather than just being a victim of circumstance, actually going, no, I get to create this the way I want to. So that's a mindset shift for a lot of people.
Nice. And so if somebody is in a position where the business is very reliant on themselves, so they've got a job and they may feel like they don't have the skills to step out of that comfort zone and step out of that job and move into the business owner mindset. What are some of the steps, or what are some of the first steps to get over that fear? How can they get over
Yeah.
the fear of change?
Well, I think one of the first things is to actually acknowledge that you do have a bit of a fear about it. And once we acknowledge something, we can do something about it. And then to just be okay with that fear and go, you know what, that's just normal. Yeah, there's nothing strange about me just because I'm a bit nervous about building a business. And then we don't know what we don't know. So really it's about getting, a coach or a consultant in to have a look at your business and see what it needs. Yeah. Or to at least have a blueprint or a plan around how you might want to do that. A business owner, I think, first of all, sets the vision, and then they've got to get together or get some ideas around what is my strategy? How do I want to build this? I can't build it on my own. Yeah. So how am I going to do that? And then how do I assemble a team around me? And how do I create a business where everybody in that business feels happy and safe and challenged at the same time? Now, let's just unpack that. Happy, when people are happy at work, you become very, very attractive to your patients. To feel safe at work, and that's just not physically safe, that's emotionally safe, and that is the safety of security of tenure and those sorts of things. And then challenged, and the challenged piece is around how the business owner mentors and builds succession in the business, so it's not about them alone. And so what we would think about is that the best business owners that we work with are in charge of their business, but they're not in control of their business. And there's a bit of a nuance in that, or a bit of subtlety in that. To be in control means that you need to be in control of everything that's going on. And that's always stressful because there are so many things that you can't be. But to be in charge is a different thing. And so when I'm in charge, I know what's going on in my business. I know that there are some things that I can't control, but I'm in charge of how we respond to that. So I think that's really important. The other thing I think is a key ingredient to successful mind shift is having the humility and the vulnerability to ask for help from others. Very, very seldom do we see anybody that builds it on their own. What we see is people who have attracted good people to their business and then allowed those people to use their own magic to build a business. So the creation of a great team. I think too, the owner has to be involved in a personal growth journey. Personal development is a key ingredient, I think, to being a business owner. And then also, the idea that I've only got 168 hours in the week. So where am I going to spend those hours? Most times what we see is people in startup spend all of that time doing everything. And as we get more mature businesses, we find that the business owner is only doing the things that they're really good at, and they're letting other people take up some of the other areas that they're good at. I think, the concept of shifting my thinking from being a practitioner to being a business owner, I actually love it when my clients say this, yeah? When they say, I'm the owner of a health practice, as opposed to, I am a podiatrist, or I am a physio, or I am an osteo who has a practice. Yeah, I'm the owner of physio, podiatry, or osteo business is a different thing. And once I take that language piece and then turn it into something, it creates a great power. And just understanding that when we want to create something, I always tell my clients we create our future success out of lies. And that doesn't mean by telling untruths, but it's a little acronym for IES. The first one is language. If I say I'm building a business as opposed to I would like to, or I hope to, or one day, or maybe, yeah. So it's that definite language. So there's no softeners in my language. The second piece is I create my business out of imagination. The I in the lies is imagination. I want to imagine what that could look like in 5 years' time. I can see 3, 4, 5 rooms. I can see a number of patients coming in, and I can see myself working 4 days a week, 40 weeks a year. And I start to get that image or that vision for myself about how life is going to look, because that's a motivating factor for me to keep going. And then my emotion. If my emotions are lined up with my language and my imagination, and I am excited, I'm driven, determined, as opposed to I'm nervous and I'm scared and worried. So that imaginative piece. And then the next piece is just simply take the first step. And in all of the things that we do, I think a lot of times when we see business owners, they want to have everything planned before they start. But the best ones, remember I said it's much more about will than skill. So it is, let's just take the next step. The E is the emotion, the S is step. So I'll just take the next step, whatever that is. And, the phrase, don't get it right, get it started. Business owners that get things started, they might not finish it. They might only get 80%, but they're a hell of a long way further than if they were waiting for the 100% certainty before they started.
Yeah, we talk about doing star jumps and part of the journey as well. It's one of those funny mental models we've stumbled across over the years, is where people mistake movement for progress. So like if life's a journey moving forward, it's like you're going around a running track and there are hurdles, because there are always hurdles, right, in life. And so you run up to a hurdle, you've got a choice. The only way to actually progress is to go over the hurdle, round it, under it, however it is. But you've got to get to the other side of the hurdle. Whereas I find a lot of business owners get to the hurdle and go, God, that's a bit scary. And so they start doing star jumps, which, and then they can go, look, I'm doing a lot of stuff. And everybody else can look at them and go, oh yeah, look, they're doing stuff. And they go, yeah, I do a lot of stuff over here, but they're not actually moving in the right direction. So how does somebody know what the next step is?
Well, I think if you can get a bit of a blueprint for what good businesses look like, and what we see in some of the businesses is that they have very poor cash flow. They've got low level of staff. Everything's a struggle. They're probably doing a whole lot of the bookwork themselves. They're doing their own cleaning. They don't have a clear value proposition. They'll take anybody with a pulse as a patient, discount their pricing and all those sorts of things. Yeah. So it's about looking at that and going, well, what part of my business don't I like right now? And one of the great things, I think, even if a business owner is doing some self-reflection, it is, what don't I want in my business and in life? And make a list of that. And then go, what do I want instead? And that's a pretty clear way of being able to work out what things are. If I want more profit, well, great. What have I got to do to get that? If I need more patients, what do I need to do to get that? And it will depend on each individual, the readiness for the shift and change. But I think there's a couple of things. We want to shift our businesses from this chaotic business through mediocrity into much more of a great business. And great businesses are really clear about their processes. They've got really high level staff. They've got shared leadership in there. Their patients know what they stand for. The brand is really strong. And that's all built. And it's very, very much about the energy that the owner has in that business. It doesn't happen without the owner making that real commitment to having things different from what they are now.
And would you say one of the ways for a practice owner to find that energy is to remove themselves from the tasks they don't like?
I think that's a nice thing to say. When we're in very small businesses, Blake, it's really, really difficult because we don't have the outsource. We don't have the money to outsource. So we have to do a lot of things that we don't want to do. But that should just be an indication that you're working in the wrong areas. So I think, we have a framework called red, blue and black. Now, red is all the admin, the things that cost your business money, the admin, the legal and accounting and the premises and all that. Should the owner be doing that, or should an employee be doing that? My guess is that the owner shouldn't be doing that red activity. As little admin as possible. Then we have the blue activity, which is how we get paid today's pounds or dollars. And that comes from the patients that we treat and the sales that we make. Now, the owner can be involved in that. But the third strand is what we call black activity, which is how we build tomorrow's dollars, how we build our business. That is strategy, it's thinking, it's succession and mentoring, it's networking or marketing or building strategy. And that takes time as well. And business owners that are in chaotic space don't have the time to go and build the business for tomorrow. And so it's a really important thing that we can help people see, that doing the admin when you are the owner of the business and the principal is not a smart thing to do. You can be doing some blue activity, which is seeing some patients, but who is going to do the stuff that's going to build the business in future? And often what we say, Blake, is the difference between my business today and in 12 months' time, is the new people that I've attracted to my business, whether they are patients, whether they are referral partners, or whether they are team members, and the hard decisions I'm prepared to make. So really importantly, I think we talk about the 4 C's of leadership in small business. And the first one is care. You need to care for your business. You need to care for the people in your business. You need to care for the people that your business serves, i.e. your patients. The second one is courage, and the courage to make the calls that need to be made. That might mean even though cash flow is a little bit dodgy, I need to get a new practitioner in because that room's empty most of the day. And I'll have the courage to back myself to be able to fund that at some point. So care for your people, courage, then consistency. And that is, you don't need to reinvent everything all the time. It's just about getting a good process that works time and time again, and the consistency of not playing favourites with your team members. Yeah, treat them fairly. And then the last one is commitment. And commitment says, I'll do what I started out to do, even though the feeling that I made that decision in has left me, if you know what I mean. So, care, courage, consistency, and commitment are probably the cornerstones of really good business.
What are some of the... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, you go. Happy with that.
You talked about hard decisions, that people are going to have to make some hard decisions. From your experience, what are some of those hard decisions that people need to look out for that you've seen practice owners make to take their business forward?
Well, one of the ones that we come up with a lot is pricing, putting your prices up. And everybody thinks that it's a terrible thing to do and the patients will leave, holus bolus, and we won't be left with any patients. It doesn't happen, but it takes courage to put your prices up. So that'd be one thing. The second thing is to let people go who are not a fit for your business anymore, rather than hang on through a sense of, skewed sense of loyalty or something like that. So if they're not right for your business, you've got to make those calls. If there's behavioural things going on that in your business that don't support it, you've got to be able to have those conversations where you need to talk to people about what the expectations are for working in this business. And then also it's hard to go and knock on a GP's door, and sell yourself. It takes courage to do that. So, there's some of them. It takes courage to ask for a coach to come in and give you some support.
So what are some of the things that you've learned from working with athletes and teams? So a lot of things are transferable. What are some of the things when you're working with the Australian hockey team, what are some of the things that you learned there that you see transfer easily?
So a couple of things. One of them is greatness. Greatness is a choice. To choose to be outstanding is a choice, and it's a brave choice. It's very easy to hide in mediocrity and have that tall poppy syndrome where if I don't put my head up, no one will notice me. And lots of times people want you to fail because they're frightened to step out for themselves. So that'd be one. Another one is comparison to others. So, often I think we look at business owners and we see Bill Gates or we see Richard Branson, but we're not them. We are small business owners and our stories are different and our strategies are different. Yeah. So comparing ourselves to others is a pretty dumb concept, I think, because it robs us of our confidence. The other thing is that high performers they practice. So they do, and they practice purposefully. And so talent is very, very common. Disciplined talent's a very, very rare thing. In a business owner, they may be really, really good with people, but to discipline that, to turn it into a business is something really different. So the business owners that we'd want to help and support are the ones who want to choose to be great. Yep, they make that personal choice because being mediocre is just not good enough for them. Yeah, I don't want to play club rugby. I want to play international rugby. Now that's a brave choice. I don't want to have a mediocre business. I want to have a great business. That's a brave choice. Yeah, and oftentimes too, Blake, I think the thing that high performers do both in sport and in business is that they challenge their own limiting beliefs about things. And often what happens is that we actually don't hit hurdles or brick walls in front of us. What we have is this baggage behind us that we're dragging through that we won't let go of. For instance, if I look at my own financial success, my parents went through the Great Depression and the Second World War where everything was rationed. There was not enough of anything. So I grew up thinking that there's not enough. I grew up thinking that money is a problem. My dad would do overtime and he'd come home and say, we've got to put this extra money in the bank. And my mum would go, no, we've got to buy a new lounge because we might never get this chance again. Yeah. And so they came from a place of scarcity. But in our world right now, scarcity isn't the paradigm through which I want to live. Yeah, I want to live through a sense of abundance, and that means that I've got to allow all that good stuff to come to me, and it doesn't just come to me. I have to work for it, but when it does, yeah, I can take that ownership piece and say, yeah, I did that. I made that happen for myself and for my business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So look, what would be one parting thought that you'd like to leave for everyone around the owner's mindset?
A couple of things, I think. Again, one, don't get it right, get it started.
Just a final little thought, if you will, on the idea of failure and beginner mindset, because I think it can be a challenge to be an expert in one area of what you do. Like I'm an expert at treating patients, but then they've got to build these new skills to build a business around, say, leadership or business strategy. And then they feel like an absolute amateur again. So how do you rally with that? Nice. Thanks, Brian. I'm sure we could go on and on and on, but we'll leave it there for today. Sounds great. So look, that's all for this episode of the Optimized Practice podcast. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode. If you do want some help with your business, also feel free to reach out to us at The Hive, where we can show you how to build a profitable, stable and highly respected practice that can ultimately work without your daily input. So once again, thank you, Brian, and we will see you all on the next episode.